Zoom call you're about to watch right now was supposed to also have Phil Thomas on it, but it's myself and Melony Feliciano, who I met through Rasta, lifelong friend of Mark Wahlberg. Melony is somebody who has helped me build every aspect of this. She brought us a facility in Atlantic City, New Jersey, to build a college of sports and media at, and a whole lot more. But yeah, she was one of my main partners in the Paramount Pursuit. She went through some crazy life experiences growing up. That's why God connected us together for the work that is going to happen moving forward as it relates to our foundation to support women that have been through not only crazy situations with violence, but trafficking as well. God bless. Melony, thank you for everything. Also, one of my main partners in the pursuit of Paramount, someone directly connected to Mark Wahlberg, Phil Thomas, who's on the Pineywood Zoom call. He couldn't join us for this one. It's 90 something degrees for the viewers. And I'm in this RV and it's hot. So no shirt at the moment. We're just waiting for Melony and Rasta, or just Melony, two of my incredible partners that believed in the path, protected me on the path, part of one of the biggest ecosystems of entertainers ever to do it on planet Earth. Ecosystems, man, trees, foundations, friendships, things that money cannot buy. God connected them all together, a creator. See where Melony is. Oh, Mr. Darren Howe, I can't wait to see you in LA and get a haircut. Oh, this is the first time in probably the whole 14-month period that I've been this just tired. I haven't been tired this whole journey. Not your normal getting tired. It's like I've been on a time that was not my own. I get knocked out to sleep at specific points in times when I'm supposed to. I wake up at specific points in time. Wake up 1 second before or 1 minute after. Certain things don't connect in the day the same. So I know God's in control of the design and time because of what I've walked into in my life. This is my life. I'm not saying this is the way. I'm not saying everything that I've done was this and that to connect this together, that any of it was me. All of this glory goes to God. And I'm not somebody that ever thought in my life when I'd hear athletes and other people say that would ever be me saying it. But all glory goes to our Creator. I know what being spiritually awakened means. I've lived it. I didn't want any of this. I don't want to spell it, but I was for it. So I'm stepping into it and I'm shining one out as well, man. Beacon of hope and light, beacon of hope for a change, beacon of hope for a better industry, beacon of hope to shine a spotlight on the negative stuff within the entertainment industry that shapes everybody who's an artist, because artists fill everything. Like the sponge that they are, shapes them into becoming people who pass these things down from their friends to even their friends' kids if they're around them enough. That's what I'm going to try to change. There's got to be some way to biologically, based in science, reprogram all this. That's what I found with that book, Spontaneous Evolution. See, all books are guidebooks. I'm going to keep saying that because it's true. We follow the things that we see, the people that we hear. It's called followers for a reason. And then everyone wants to shine a light on like negative cults. It literally says Chris Brown, 150 million followers. What did Colts have? Followers. I'm not calling Chris Brown a cult leader, but I'm talking about the mirrors of things in time and society come from things that already exist. When you say someone has a certain amount of followers, well, you're talking about, you can call it brands. That's that person's brand. But in reality, I eat Heinz ketchup. Oh, I eat Heinz ketchup. You got the Huns followers and the Heinz followers. Cults. Brands are cults. The first brand was Jesus. These people are real. The companies exist. The people exist that are the legacies and the brands. But you see, God created all these legacies. They're created by a creator. They don't just happen. So that's what I started tapping into, thinking like that every day. What's in front of me? And all I know now is I've connected Sydney's legacy to Jim Morrison. I haven't done anything. I got guided to connect her legacy to Jim Morrison. Mine got connected to film in a manner that I always dreamed about. So, not bad for two nerds from Phoenix and Florida. And we're about to rise. You're already watching it because you're watching this. So, you're already watching the rise. See, that's the thing. This is the most meta thing ever done. And by the way, Meta World Peace, formerly known as one of my oldest friends, very meta, everything that we've done. I just want to give back. I want to change the world. I want to make it better than I found it, better than it treated me. And I'm going to call Melanie, find out where she is right now. So I'll be right back. Stand by. Here, I'm letting you in. Let me hang up.
Oh, there goes Will. Okay. Can you see me? Are you there?
Hello. Hang on. I'm with no shirt today because it's 90 degrees in this RV.
Oh, you're fine.
How are you doing?
I'm in the Pocono Mountains this
Nice.
weekend for the holiday, so I'm actually doing very well.
Awesome. I wanted to, we haven't really got to have a one-on-one, and we always have so many other people. And instead of me compiling, because I'm compiling the list as well, but we're launching this publicly since everybody controls their own IP, and we built this whole thing together. So I wanted to, I had Bruce Long on for about an hour and a half. I don't think we're going to have to take that much time because he had to go through a lot with Broadway education, et cetera. But I would like for you to talk about your IP, your leadership in this, what you want to bring to the table, what you have been bringing to the table, the Atlantic City of it all, where we are going to build a college of sports and media. And I'm working on the other connecting point in Georgia with that. I need to introduce, I think, your guys there to Mr. O'Brien in Georgia
Uh,
to really get
Okay.
that flowing.
And then
Okay.
the conversations I've had, it connects Dave Sheridan as one of the faces in that. He would bring in Jack Black, some other people, Kevin Smith, who I know, as do others. Haven't seen Kevin in a long time, but we work together. He's from Jersey. So I'd have the legacy pieces from Jersey brand the school, in addition
Okay.
to Travis Best, Meta World Peace, Jerry Easter, the partners, myself and Sydney, you and Rasta. Where we would do the last names, the big picture world, whatever it ends up being.
Right.
Canyon Country Education is what it's going to end up being.
Hmm.
But basically, I want to talk about that. And then if you could talk about your IP, some of your past background of what you produce, like the Madoff stuff and other things. And if you could talk about what we've got with Rasta, and then I want to do a one-time broadcast situation for this launch, and I want to play at least the finished episode on him. I'm playing Danny Falcone's Mob Soldier. I want to play one of Ross's episode, and anything that you want to run one time just for the 24-hour launch, so I could showcase some IP of the people we've been talking about. To basically, we built a massive advertising agency ecosystem, and I've pulled together a full-blown campaign for Coca-Cola without them even knowing it, connected to the journey of what we did, and specifically related around Rocco Nugent letting me know I was a ninja and a chosen one to lead a path forward while he was filming his dad on stages. So we have brands at our disposal because of, quite frankly, who we all are. And I'm done denying that. And I'm done walking in things with outside parties that might be who they are in business, but in the entertainment industry, which people buy gateways into, dude, I got some gates that are not accessible by people that don't do what I do anymore. I took my power back. I had to do that, and I'm calling him out right now because he already told me I could post his text. A guy by the name of Clayton Woodley, who literally has not listened, not one time from the day he met me. And you see, I was going in and observing him, but he thought I was the one reacting to him. But every time I was keeping track, and I'd always circle back to include him. And when I called him this morning to one check on him because he's in a hospital bed, he's paralyzed. You see, our foundation, action through action. The first time I ever went to the hospital, where I then went and met him after the first time, I was already there because that's where our foundation formed out of. So I wanted to involve him in what we were doing, and his ego today got the better of him because he just wanted to ask me a bunch of questions. How'd you do this? How'd you do that? Do you know how to structure this? I'm like, do I know how to structure? Bro, I raised $14 billion. The level of disrespect I've had to deal with people's egos that want to talk about being consciously awake in Christ, but then all they do is pass judgment or want their own viewpoint to come through and not anybody else's, shows me why these people are in the situations that they're in their lives in the first place. This person, and I don't mean this as a knock, I have a foundation that specifically I'm on the board of, working with people with disabilities. This is a man who's paralyzed. He needs to stop and think about why God isolated him in that kind of manner, right? In the situation he's in, based on how he speaks to people. So that's
Right.
what our platform is, our Finding Justice platform. After what I walked into at Cherry Zoo, and I want to shine a spotlight too to help you with what you've been pursuing, because now, like the show Ghost Adventures, I'm going to show up and fight for social justice on our platform. You see, it's going to stream 24/7. All of our content, the path to creating the platform, which was the rise of Project Rise Partners. But we're going
Right.
to interrupt that live streaming loop that's never going to be turned off starting June 6th with
Uh-huh.
going live at points and shining cameras in people's faces to bring people to a centered place of peace, love, kindness, and forgiveness. So that's the
Amen.
plan, Melanie, and you're going
Okay.
to help me oversee that, as is Sydney. And I haven't been able to catch her up fully, so she's going to see it from all this by the time we get there. So, because this, what we're doing right now, this goes live tomorrow night 11:59 as part of the entire broadcast of Zooms and everything. So I
Right.
want to program into that some
Hmm.
content. So like right after our section here plays, then something from you and Rasta will play after the Zoom.
Right.
That's how we're
Okay.
programming a new channel.
I
So that's
love
what we're
it.
doing.
Yeah. So, where do I start? Let me start with Atlantic City because that's like the big one right now.
And real quick, who are you? Where?
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
my
intro
name is
yourself.
Melony Feliciano. I'm a producer as well as a distributor. Uh, Big Picture World, Will has been working with us almost a year now on this major um, movement, I would say, that we have going on with the ecosystem that you built and bunch of amazing individuals here. So first and foremost, I will discuss the Atlantic City facility where we have, hold on, let me just close this door.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm on the Zoom. Okay, so we have an amazing 550,000 square foot facility who the great folks at ACX1 converted, well, at Caesars Pier, on Caesars Pier in Atlantic City, is a facility that used to be a mall and now is a production studio, 4 floors of sets. Amazing. We turned them all into a studio. So, from massive sound stages to covered on billboards that we are going to convert into LED panels as we transition and add value to the facility.
That's a lot
So
of advertising space as well, if it's
advertising
LED
space. We
billboards.
have 4 floors, 550,000 square feet of facility ready to be marked up by whatever advertisers we bring in. Then we have 1,000 feet of the beach on the left of the building, and on the right of the building, that brings us to 100,000 capacity venue when we do our beach stages.
Outside for the beaches, and I'm going to say this now because I've been calling them out. I want literally the concert series that we do in Atlantic City to be presented by Mercedes-Benz and Coca-Cola. There is not two other brands for what we're doing and envisioning. I will not even talk to any other brands to partner with our concert series other than Coke and Mercedes. And I want to do that now, and I've already shot campaigns for it. We have.
Yeah, I could
Everyone's
see that.
collective
The
footage.
Coke stage or the Mercedes stage, or even I would love for them to come
One on
on board
each.
and wrap
Yep.
one side of the building in Mercedes, wrap the other side in Coca-Cola. Let's
Yep.
go. So
Exactly.
we have that. We have that where I just finished wrapping a documentary on Coy Soldier, a celebrity photographer and hip hop icon. So that's one piece of IP that is in post-production now. Then we have Ralph McDaniels who's in there. Amazing. Great. Looking forward to that. Then we have another post production that's getting edited right now is Rostafil the union. So basically, Phil's the only one that gets the access when he's doing these movies with Mark to film and take BTS. And then now they gave him the green light to use the BTS as a piece. So we took and I had his grandson sit and watch the movie with him in the studio. We filmed that and then we infused it with the BTS and we made a documentary. So it's called Behind the Scenes of the Union with Rostafil. So that's coming out soon. As far as my past work, I definitely was part of the production that did the Bernie Madoff series, which is now on Netflix. I also worked on the 1619 project on Hulu, as well as Project Runway All Star Season 20, and Samuel L. Jackson and Uma Thurman in The Kill Room. So those are some of my credits you can find on IMDb. And now, as far as my story, I have an interesting story. I just wrapped a doc that I did on my life because after 4 seasons of successfully distributing and producing my own independent television talk show, with no schooling and no knowledge at all. I just said
You're
I
gonna
wanted to.
you're gonna have that again, by the way. That
Yeah,
you're talking about, I wanted to tell you. Well, that's one of the IPs that we're gonna do. So talk about that show and what it
Bar
is also.
TV. Yeah, so Bar TV is an acronym for brilliant and resilient. So it's not just bar, it's B dot A dot R dot. So it's abbreviated. It's an acronym and it's also like a double entendre because I have been to prison. People sat on my chair for 4 seasons, never knew who I was or where I came from Adam. And they gave me their formulas, they gave me their stories, their journeys. And then after successfully doing my show, they started to ask, well, who are you? Where are you from? And then when they found out that I come from the womb of a heroin addict, whose father sex trafficked me at 9 years old from Brooklyn to Virginia. I had to manipulate my own father to believe that I was okay with it while I was his victim. Then I escaped by letting him believe that I was okay with it. And then he took me back to my family he sent me back on the plane to to New York to be with my family, thinking that I wasn't going to say anything. But when I got there, I did tell my cousin Carlos, who told my grandmother. And then we ended up on trial, where I had to take the stand and testify against my own father. And he was convicted, found guilty by the jury, and he served 10 years in prison. So when they find that out, and then they also find out that I was set up by my daughter's father and went to prison on a 2 to 6 for drug possession. And then they find out that, I had no family, no support system. I just was raised by the addicts that I was born into this. I didn't choose it. But when they find all of that out, and then they look at my great work history, coming from a woman who never had a job a day in her life. My mother never worked. They're really, the people's reaction is what helped me to see my unique ability to survive and to thrive and to build something from nothing. So when they started to hear about all the traumas that I survived and endured in my life, they were like, wow, this girl's really resilient, so they wanted my story. So that's why I did the documentary. When I almost died from COVID, I said, okay, I can't die without telling my story, because I know that my story, I've always felt like a sacrifice similar to Jesus Christ. I knew that
Yep.
I could not have been enduring all of this pain and agony and still surviving and still have the ability to communicate like this, to produce. And you never know. I'm not on drugs. I didn't turn out to be a prostitute or a stripper or anything like that. Not that there's anything against it. I don't judge anybody. But when they find out, that's when people are like, wow, Melanie, you're amazing. And so I had to realize that and own it. And I'm such a humble person. It really took a long time before I came out and said, yeah, I am amazing, because I didn't want to be that cocky, big-headed kind of person. So I did that. And then the documentary is in post-production now. And the whole goal, which is what Will and I are going to produce, is the biopic. So that'll be coming soon. And it is the story of a young girl from Brooklyn who's was raised by drug addicts and abused and raped and neglected and all that stuff, and still became a successful mother. I taught myself how to be a mother. I have 2 daughters, 20-year-old and a 14-year-old, who are proud of me when they see my name on credits, on movies, on television shows, on things that I produce. I also have 70 titles under my company that I've signed for distribution on Tubi. So yeah, this is what I am, who I am. I've been working also with Rasta Phil closely for a whole year. I kind of became his filter. He has this Rolodex of people that want to do different deals and opportunities, because he's like the filter to Mark. So then I have to filter for Rasta Phil, and I'm like, let's make sure
You and me both.
I said, let's make sure this person belongs in this room so that deal can close. And now he calls me the closer. So here we are. And I'm just thankful to the people that are in my life that realize that I was born for something more than I could see myself.
Amen on that. Will you talk a little bit about, because we've talked a lot about at the top of this, and I did a speech yesterday, and I want to say you're a co-president in this too with Rasta. Um, when I was giving that speech, I was going half by mine, half by my notes. So I'm
Mhm.
telling you right now, when you see this, and I'm saying it here because it's all part of the same broadcast, but
Wow.
that speech is very meta, because as people watch it, I say in it that, yeah, and we're live right now, because that's going up tonight once this all launches. And
Right.
speaking of distribution, I have to tell you something. So we have a agreement and a partnership to own the Ocala Drive-In Theater. It
Wow.
is going to be rebranded as the Lucelle, our streaming platform, Canyon Country Drive-In Theater. We're
Mm.
building a hotel on the grounds, modernizing it, putting in a world-class RV resort. and I'm building human experiences there. We are. And every location where we have a Canyon Country ecosystem pod at is going to have a human experience that you can only get at that location. So it
Nice.
creates a tourist ecosystem. We're building volume advertising sound stages to shoot advertisements at each location. And we're going to charge a membership fee like Soho House, but for the general public, to where
Mm,
every year they pay one fee. They could travel the ecosystem. They only pay a resort fee, minimal $33. It's all numbers on purpose to
mm,
stay at each location. And every location also provides work opportunities for anyone who's homeless that can be looked up, verified, as somebody who's got a clean pass. And even if it's checkered, there's going to be an advisory board that speaks with those people. And there's actually going to be people on payroll doing that because I set it all up as a nonprofit. So the film studio that we're making all these projects with, 97% of all revenues go back into the studio after it produces the art. So the creators get paid from the nonprofit studio to make all the projects. They get their fees, but nobody owns the studio. And then 3% of that money literally pays all of us creatives that created this and run it to keep the ecosystem going. And then the ad agency we own, you see, that's a corporation. It might be the only one left by the time I'm done. And that
mm,
corporation, all the people that invest in the nonprofit, they're also making an investment in the ad agency, which is actual shares. Now that nonprofit studio owns the streaming platform, which is not a nonprofit, but all revenues from that literally go into a fund separate from advertiser revenues, just like every
mhm.
other streaming company. And you see
Right,
now we're making the ads within our ecosystem that are going to play on other streaming companies. They don't have a
right.
choice because we connected into this. And so now literally the streaming platform funds the Troy DeVold Foundation nonprofit, which is being created to create an ancillary fund. I'm losing you, Melanie. You still there?
Mhm. Sorry, I'm going upstairs
That's okay.
because it started raining.
I got it. So the streaming platform revenues go into a fund that basically pay a stipend
Mhm.
to every creative artist that's a union member. And then there's also a stipend pool for everybody that's not in unions, the independent up and coming individuals. But when they come and be involved in that nonprofit, then they're in the ecosystem. So the people that need a stipend, so it's whatever they're maintaining wages for wherever they're at in their life right now. Because some rich people ended up not being able to get movies made, right? And then they can't pay their bills. Wherever you're at, and it gradually keeps producing. And so everyone that's an artist owns the ad agency, and then everyone that's an artist, because I set up as in a hotel ownership group, own every single piece of real estate that we're building a Canyon Country hotel on. So the studio
Wow.
itself, basically, it's a never-ending ecosystem for art that replenishes itself and pays all the creatives. And this is
Brilliant.
meticulously being broke down. So that's what this all was. And it sets everyone free, and nobody can knock it because I created a corporation as an ad agency, the biggest one ever in the world. And I've already created a viral campaign centered around Coca-Cola with the journey of all of our lives doing this and me coming and meeting everybody individually on the purpose. And those that I didn't meet, now when I meet all of you on the flip side, like you, because you were busy when I was up there, we're going to
Mhm.
cheers Coca-Cola together. And I'm going to have the celebration launch point of all that be at RZA's premiere for his movie at Tribeca.
Nice.
And then we're going to
You're
Shanghai.
brilliant. You're brilliant. I could not have. Oh
I
my
get
God.
all the codes from you guys. I get the connective
Oh,
points to walk in. I didn't ask for this. I got chosen for it by whoever put us on this planet, God, a creator, whoever it is.
amen. Right.
And I've never had free will in my life, even though I thought I was operating in it. It caused all this happening. So I'm retiring as a producer. I'm going out on Cutthroat City. I'm never taking a producer credit again. I'm directing full time. That's not even a question because I have the A-list creative partnerships attached to the IPs. I'm going to go see
Mhm.
Taylor John Smith Tuesday. I get on a bus and I leave here and I go to Nashville, and then I go and I stay with Danny Falcone until I'm sitting in a Coca-Cola boardroom, and they're literally our brand partner and owners with shares. I'm gonna give shares to Coca-Cola and Mercedes. You see, we're gonna partner together because I'm gonna give them a piece of this. We are. because they're the best partners: movies, Coca-Cola, and then we're a
Mhm.
travel ecosystem, Mercedes. And I don't like Range Rovers. That was the mirror for the license plate. That was mine and Sid's initials. That's how I knew it was
Ah,
Mercedes. And anyways, and I'm not making any of this up. As you know, this is
mhm.
why we're all in this. I
Yeah.
connect on flow and connectivity and a path I'm walking in. And so now I've been able, while I've been home, to film a movie on my legacy and my family's legacy, since everyone knows the Ellisons. And the night that Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning came out, literally Friday night, I went and showcased the theater that we own.
Wow.
And I went and filmed Mission Impossible on the screen. And then I let Paramount and the Ellisons know that the guy who introduced me to the money to literally defeat legacy wealth owns the trademark on Pulp Fiction. And last time I checked, that's an IP at Paramount. So I'm funding that as my final act as a producer. I just announced it. And by the
Mm.
time people watch this, they've already seen that video because it's guided them here. And so I hope Paramount comes and tries to sue me, because
Mm.
if they do, I'm going to countersue them for literally collusion, torturous interference, and blocking a $13.6 billion offer to buy that studio. So instead, I'm giving ownership in the Ocala Drive In to Quentin Tarantino, my creative partner on Cutthroat City, and RZA, and a lot of other people than just those two. And that's how the artists set everything free.
Amen. You did that.
My hometown, the last line of Cutthroat City: water flows and somehow always finds its way home. Some combination of that saying.
Mhm.
So I had to come home to
Nice.
do it. And now I'm putting Ocala on the map. And last time I checked, Pulp Fiction star John Travolta, and he lives in my hometown. So the town that I
Wow.
grew up in, my town, my city, my legacy.
There you go.
So I want to bring your legacy to the world. I can't wait for you to meet Sydney. I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah, I
She's going
can't
to
wait.
be an amazing creative partner for you on your journey. Our Lacey McGee Foundation is going to be involved in that. You see all these launch titles. I'm trying to specifically only talk about things that are legacies,
Full
because
circle. Speaking of legacy, I didn't even know, because this is how God works. As I'm in development for Rasta Phil's story, he tells me, Melanie, an important, intricate part of my journey was when I was on the Arsenio Hall show and I met Rosie Perez and Onyx was there. Well, then guess what? I end up getting a call with Sticky Fingers from Onyx, where I just distributed two of his titles. And when I'm on the call with Sticky Fingers, then they had me come out to production meeting where I met with Sticky Fingers, Fredro, and put Rastafil on the video call with them. It was full circle moment, because he said that Onyx was so intricate to his journey, and then for me to be working with Onyx and bring Onyx back to the picture, and now we're in development for Fredro's gonna turn the back the fuck up story of Onyx into an episodic series. So we also got that, by the way. We got
that's
we
dope.
got the Onyx story,
That's
working with
dope.
Sticky Fingers and Fredro, and a lot of different legacy artists. I forgot to mention that too. A lot of legacy artists from the 90s who somehow get kicked by this business and get these horrible talent deals for their life stories. They find their way to me and they're like, "Hey, Melanie, I heard you the plug." And they're like, "Oh, we want this and that." And I'm just like, I'm humbled. I'm like, man, I grew up slamming myself like I was a boy in clubs. Like I grew up to these people, and to know that they're not getting their flowers or their just due or what they deserve, which is the world being able to see their story, because I know I would love to see the story, and I grew up on that.
And
Now we can do that.
you just said something very important, right, about not being seen or heard. So anybody who has IP, who brings it to us, they literally are going to keep 100% ownership of their IP. I'm literally breaking the entire playbook
Yeah.
because it's a nonprofit. The IP gets funded. You see, nobody owns the revenues. It goes back in. So the creators get paid basically how Netflix structured their original things. But then all the creators, everybody that comes to us, even if it's Steven Spielberg to make a project, get ownership in the hotel group corporation and the advertising agency. So who
Wow.
would want to go to anybody outside of
It's
a
a
group
no-brainer.
created by artists? We end corporate Hollywood forever because it's not about Hollywood. It's about art across a global scale. And if you
Correct.
can unite a world together on art, music, movies, and the culture of those areas, you win. So when we got led to the Canyon Country store after putting this whole ownership group together for Paramount. You see, I got led to Canyon Country after putting together the ownership group for Paramount and making the freaking offer. Early November, after we announced and launched on November 8th. I then got led to meeting Tommy Bina because I was homeless in a garage on Love Street with Javi, my freaking fashion design partner, along with Grant, Power, and Rocco. It was all
On
these
my
connected.
birthday. That's my birthday, November 8th. Yes.
That's when we launched. So happy
Hmm.
birthday, because that's the anniversary of this. We only ever put out, because see, I don't announce things until it's happening. That's how everyone knows that this is happening. Because I
Hmm.
put out one press release on Big Picture Collective, have not announced any movies since Cutthroat City. I'm going out on Cutthroat City because that connected me to a legacy that exists for life. So if I go out on that movie, I know what my legacy has become because who I was is dead and gone because I am not who I was even when you met me, Melanie. And
No, I
now
know.
and now I get to direct movies with literally you on set, Ross on set, John Schneider, everybody that led me into becoming who I finally am. And I told everyone I was going to hang myself this week on a proverbial cross. I hung myself. I killed William Clevinger. He's not making movies anymore. Nobody can ever come to me again from this launch point. Anybody that was in it when I started it is in it. They also have their stuff funded from what this is. That's our first docket for the DAO. It's going to be set up by Bex for the IP. And we're going to go straight to the consumers, and all the projects are getting made, but the consumers are going to decide the green lights. They're also going to get to interact and even have a roster of talent. We're going to do a choose your own adventure movie every month and let the general public cast it and pick the director, right? I'm breaking the matrix
So,
because I did it. I walked it so I could do it. And I killed my previous life, literally, by what I've put
mhm.
out by the time people are seeing this. Because you have to live in truth in order to bring other people to not only confronting their truths, but changing things. And so I
Right.
sacrificed myself, and I would do it all over again because Sydney sacrificed herself for 8 years so we could do this. You see, it's the yin and the yang, what she had to go through, and then me ending everything that was into
Hmm.
something entirely new.
Right. Sorry. I'm on the
You're
Zoom.
okay.
She's sleeping still.
What else do you want to add, Miss Feliciano? Because you have such a
Um,
strong voice and mindset about so many things. The
oh, hold
charity
on.
work, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, no, I'm just have a little newborn there. I'm keeping an eye on. But go ahead. So what did you say?
I said our foundation. So dealing with abuse, trafficking, because that's the Lacey McGee Foundation is rooted and shining a light on trafficking and also women and men that go through abuse.
Well, I think that is so important, and I know that that's why we all came together. Because how else can you make that up? How can you put so many people together that have all endured, suffered, or survived through different lanes of trauma and abuse? So one thing I would like to say about that is, through the years, as I lived as a human sacrifice and endured all of the pain, um, not only from the childhood trauma from my father, the trauma of being imprisoned, wrongly imprisoned, and having my mom die. Finally, my mom died. I will say it like that, and it may sound crazy to people, but when you're a child who fights the disease of heroin addiction for your mother, and So that had me in bondage so many years that when she died, it was like freeing. It was liberating for me not to have to carry her demons anymore. But one thing I noticed as I connect with different people who are like-minded like myself, who won't be taken down by anything and still rise to the top no matter what challenges they face. A lot of people blame themselves, a lot of people feel ashamed, and it takes a long time before men and women open up and share their trauma. And I know that it's because they believe or feel that the world is going to look at them or judge them in a certain way. Only thing I want to say to people is let it go. There's no way that we're going to heal our trauma or help someone else through our trauma, because that's something I really strongly believe, that the people who do survive and do not decide to take their life today get to see that tomorrow they come across someone like their younger selves who they can save from
All
taking their own
mirrors.
life.
Yep, all
Yes.
mirrors, man.
So I with that I'll say I love it. I love it. I love that we're coming together. And one thing that I would like for the world to take from this is the ability to conquer their fears. Yeah.
One thing to fear, God. That is
That's it.
the truth.
Only
Because
God. Yes. And,
I
and I'll
got
say for many years I was ashamed because I mean, you think about it, right? You're like, oh man, my mom's a heroin addict. My father took my virginity. Like, these are not things I can talk about openly, comfortably with people without feeling like I'm going to be judged. But the moment that I did, I released myself from bondage of many years. So with that, that's my goal and my
generational.
purpose.
That's generational bondage,
Generational.
man.
Yeah. So with that, I'll say, yeah, my grandfather was a heroin addict, my mother, my aunts, so with that, I'll say I would like to devote myself to helping people release themselves out of bondage. Yeah.
100%. Um, let's see. What are some other foundational items on the educational side, which we touched on, that we were going to do, that you would like to see implemented in a private, overseen by artists kind of entertainment educational ecosystem, and not just focus on entertainment? This is a legit college, but
Mm-hmm.
with a foundation made up of faces. Again, people go to schools because of brands: Florida Gators, Florida State Seminoles. Well, the brand is the faces of the artists that all these people grew up loving and watching.
Right.
So that's a selling point in the aspect of we're not selling anything. It's something that's private, that actually has people that do this on an iconic level, educating the next generation and protecting them and knowing that they're speaking to a bunch of young artists. See, that's the problem with a lot of educators that are even teaching film and other things. Most people end up in those positions because they weren't
Okay.
actually able to make it creatively at the highest of levels. So then they fall back on something and play characters of a teacher. That's not what this is, man. The teachers, it's got to be us coming in and speaking. We're able to give more on an educational level by talking about our past and our path than somebody who's actually even getting paid to do it. So,
Right. Well, about that, what I'll say is, the world gave me a title of an educator. They call me Miss Melody. It's not just an Instagram name. People really call me that in real life. Miss Melody, Miss Melody. And the thing is, with Bar TV, that's was my goal. I knew that the curriculum in schools was not catering to creators like myself. I remember being in my English class in high school. Mr. Mullen was his name, and he always looked at my paper and then gave me the little bombastic side eye, because he knew that attached to the paper was another paper, because I never had enough space for my answers. So like I always gave more. So I was just, you know, a creator. I didn't even know. but that's why I started that. And teachers are very important. And I'll say this one piece. Well, my story, I was my earliest memory in preschool, pre-kindergarten, graduation specifically. And because my mom was a heroin addict, her mother saved me from foster care because my grandmother was a foster care parent. So she said, "Now my grandchild going to the foster care system, I'll take her right here." So she took me. But before I was always coming to school late if I went to school at all because my mom was a heroin addict, and her mom, even though her mom took custody of me, my grandmother always gave my mother the opportunity to attempt to be a mother. So the times that I would go with my mom, I'd end up disappearing. I wouldn't go to school, or if I'm going to school, I'm late. So with that said, the preschool teacher, every time I came into class, she would be like, "Well, well, well, if it isn't Miss Melanie." And I'm like crazy because as I'm post editing my pre-kindergarten graduation picture where this lady is handing me my little diploma, the AI did a little rendition to it, and it was like it made it in a like if it was a loving embrace from the teacher. But I clearly remember this teacher antagonizing me and calling me Miss Melanie in a rude way to try to embarrass me to class because I bet you I say if the woman knew that my mom was a heroin addict and that my father was sexually abusing me, I highly doubt she would single me out the way she did. But I say this to say school is mandatory. As a parent, my children are only in school because if I don't send them to the school, the law is going to try to take my children from me.
Yep.
But with that said, the people who are teaching these children and who are responsible for these children are in it for the wrong reason. They're going to work for money. They're not going to become educators to educate children and to love them and nurture them and to be the family foundation that they have in the school when they're not at home. So you're forcing kids to go to school, but you're not forcing teachers to teach properly.
Facts.
So with that, I'm looking forward to what we're going to build.
I love it. What else would you like to share?
I think that's about it.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
it. If there's any finished episodes for me to drop in from something from you and something from Rasa, broadcast one time in this
Mhm.
after this Zoom. Amazing. If not, I'd love to at least play the trailers. I know there's a trailer
There's a trailer. Yes.
for the doc on him
There's a trailer.
to showcase what's going to
Yes.
come on our platform. So if
Yes.
you can send me the trailers, I'll drop them
Yes.
in. They're going to run
Hmm.
right when we get off this, and
Okay.
we are quietly taking over the stations.
Okay. I'm here for you.
And one other thing. Telethon, each of us are going to kind of produce segments for this, right? That we create and come up with. 2 days, 48 hours, rotating groups. I know what I'm focusing mine on because I've been able to put all the trauma from the abuse I went through professionally and personally, and also self inflicted, out of my life by forgiving those people. I forgive them, the people that I've called out. There are some people that are dead now that didn't have a voice. So by the time people have watched this, I've already called out those people. Lacey, who's the namesake of our foundation, was horribly mistreated by two brothers that are celebrities. She has no reason to lie and make that up. I verified it as being true from other people in the circle. And what they don't know, because I didn't announce this when I talked about this in front of the drive-in theater in Ocala. I recorded this video the other night. I also know that they got somebody else addicted to drugs that ended up being one of the catalysts that got one of my best friends in the world addicted to fentanyl. You see, I tracked back where it came from. And that's why I called those people out. And I'm happy to stand publicly and let them prove to me that what God also communicated to me, because I don't make any of this up, I can't lie anymore. I'm going to take a lie detector test to prove it. So when I take the lie detector test on our telethon stage, and I'm asked all these questions about my path, I'm going to pass every single one of them. And then what are people going to say? But I am cleaning up our industry. Yeah, I went and did it because I knew the end of it would be everybody showing up, just like Rasta told me would happen.
Hmm.
And that was back last April. And I never stopped walking it. Now I've been in that walk for over a year. I
Mm-hmm.
deserve to be heard in the aspect of the things that I'm talking about, because nobody can tell me that this doesn't work, because I fucking built it all. And all I've ever done is deliver for 20 years of playing a character. That character died, and this is what it left behind in the world. So
Amen. God bless.
thank you, Melanie, for
Yes.
everything. And give me those trailers. Just email them to me and I'm gonna
I'm
drop
gonna
them in.
get you. I'm gonna email you now the trailer for the Union, and I have a snippet from my documentary.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Blessings.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
you.
Will. Blessings.
Always.
Enjoy your weekend, and call
Thank
me.
you, you too. Thanks for getting on today on the
Of
weekend.
course.
Thank you.
No
Bye.
problem. Bye.